heartfelt thank you to everyone that has come to help and support my daughter Amalia in her struggle against this difficult disease. To my family, especially for my tias, my cousins and family who helped put this event together, to James and for his family for sharing his music with us, to my mama for allowing me to stay, or us, Natalia and I, to stay at her house, and for putting up with us for these last 7 months. And for Tina for sharing her bathroom. Huge sacrifice. And everyone else who have helped maintain our home in Boise, who've raked leaves, shoveled snow, picked up mail, watched our cats and dogs, who have put us on the news, sold shots at tailgates to raise money. And takes care of your grandson. Those who have offered help, those who have donated money to help Amalia, and who have kept Amalia and us in their prayers, the most important thing. I thank God for every single one of you all. It's a good feeling to be surrounded by so many people who have upheld us in so many ways by their love and prayers. Our family's world changed August 12th of last year, when we were woken up at 4 a.m. by Amalia packing for heaven. She had put clothes in her suitcase ready to go, filled a clothes basket with everything she might need for her trip. A Bible, some icons of saints, a family photo, some hair clips, and of course some snacks. You need that when you're going to heaven. Amalia had been suffering with flu-like symptoms the days leading up to that morning, but now it became very apparent that something was really wrong. She kept asking, "Stop. Am I supposed to be here? And am I your Amalia or somebody else's Amalia?" She kept on hearing noises and seeing things that were not there, and she didn't seem to recognize any of us. We took her to the emergency room where the physician providentially did just simply dismiss Amalia's psychotic symptoms as a psychological order, as often happens, and send her to a mental facility. Rather, this physician, out of extreme caution, did a spinal tap, and they found there elevated white blood cells, which meant that this was a physical disorder, not a mental disorder. Many times these people that are suffering from this disease end up in mental facilities for weeks and even months on end. So for the next 4 days, the doctors at St. Luke's in Brady, Idaho, ran every possible test to try and identify the cause of this infection. They tested her for herpes, West Nile virus, measles. They even sent samples of her spinal fluid to get DNA sequenced to see what viral or bacterial infection she might have. And every time the results came back negative. They were completely stumped. They had no clue what was going on with her. And in the meantime, Amalia continued to become more agitated and began having what looked like seizures. And eventually on Thursday, 4 days after being admitted to the hospital, she aspirated on her own saliva, and they had to intubate her. And on that same day, a young neurologist, I kept his name, I hold him up in prayer. His name was Dr. Animesh Gupta, said he had reviewed Amalia's case with a forum of expert neurologists from around the country, and one of them offhandedly mentioned a super rare disease called anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis, a disease which only affects about 1 in 1.5 million people a year, and mostly young women. Dr. Gupta said he woke up at 3 in the morning with the thought to review this midsection scan again. The docs had previously told us it was clear, there's nothing wrong there. But he went and found the culprit, a 2-centimeter teratoma cyst. So the mystery was solved. He immediately ordered this antibody test, and in his words, the results didn't tell us she had anti-NMDA, it screamed it. Amalia joined the other 399 other anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis patients with a positive diagnosis last year. And so they immediately sent her off to get the tumor removed. Anti-NMDA encephalitis is a disease occurring when antibodies produced by the body's own immune system, and in Amalia's case, this 2-centimeter cyst caused her body to produce these antibodies that attack the NMDA receptors in her brain. And if you're like me, I've been saying this over and over while we're in the hospital, you really wished you had paid attention in biology class. NMDA are the name of these receptors in the brain that are critical for judgment, perception of reality, human interaction, and formation or retrieval of memory, and the control of unconscious activities such as breathing, swallowing. These are called autonomic functions. Amalia's antibodies, which are typically helpful in fighting infection, were instead blocking these receptors, these very important brain receptors. Amalia's symptoms developed quickly, very rapidly, over just a few days. Typically, it takes like weeks, if not months, to develop. This happened in 4 days. She lost consciousness, suffered from what they call dyskinesia, which are these kind of rhythmic motions with her arms and leg and tightening of her muscles, abnormal movements with her face and her mouth, and in Amalia's case, it caused her to clench her jaw so much on the tube that was in her mouth that she lost 8 teeth. She experienced autonomic dysfunctions such as high, then low heart rates. I saw like 80 and then 50 and 40. Drops and then increases in her blood pressure. And periods when she would breathe super rapidly, and then times when she would completely stop breathing. That was alone enough to break Mom and Dad's heart. The following week, Dr. Gupta informed us of this trial that they're doing at the University of Utah called the Extinguish NMDA receptor trial that was happening here. And after speaking to every medical person I could find, we decided to enroll her in this, and Amalia was then airlifted to the University of Utah Hospital to take part in this study. This study is important because currently there are no FDA-approved medicines for people with this disease. And honestly speaking, we had nothing to lose and everything to gain. The hospitals in Idaho were just not equipped to deal with this disease. And we were also being offered care by one of the foremost experts in this condition, Dr. Stacy Clardy, at one of the best hospitals in the nation, the University of Utah Hospital. So Natalia and I, 7 months ago, uprooted ourselves from Boise and moved to Salt Lake City. And again, providentially, because of COVID, I've been working from home for the last 2 years. So it was kind of an easy transition to work from home, now to work from the back of a hospital. And my work has been completely understanding and supportive of me during this difficult time. The expert in this disease, again, Dr. Clardy, says that Amalia is in the top 10 worst, most severe cases of anti-NMDA receptor incidences she has ever seen, and she's seen a lot of them. However, on the positive side, she has told us patients do recover from this disease, but that it takes patience and time. And it would be a long and rough journey. When people ask how Amalia is doing, I kind of lightheartedly say, up, down. Up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. That's how it feels like. It's like a roller coaster. But through immunosuppressant treatment, she's beginning to show some example or some signs of positive cognitive activity. For example, just a few weeks ago, Natalia had Kassiani on the phone, on the FaceTime, talking to Amalia. And Amalia, as she often had done to tease her sister, lifted up her hand, lifted her middle finger, and flipped off Amalia, or Kassiani. So, progress.
Sisters.
Sure sign of improvement here. So we're trying to get her to the point where she regained enough cognitive ability to do 3 hours of required active rehabilitation work at this long-term acute care facility we're at in Provo, so that they can transfer her to the University of Utah. Natalia wanted me to mention that everyone's invited to come visit her if you're in Provo. I never thought I would have a reason to go visit Provo. Maybe you didn't either. You could come visit her there. Just give us a call and let us know you're coming. So we're hoping that we can get her to the University of Utah, rehabilitation, do more of an intense regime of treatment to get her back to her kind of baseline. Friends, over the last 7 months, we've seen God's providence in this ordeal. This has been one of the hardest things that Natalia and I have ever had to deal with. But it's amazing how things have and keep falling in place. This ER doc that took that one extra little step to ensure that this was physical, not mental, was providential. Amalia was diagnosed within 4 days rather than the weeks and months that it typically happens. And the docs tell us that that early diagnosis saved her life.
Wow.
She would have been dead, right, if she was in a mental hospital. I never really ever liked working from home. It was so isolating, right? But this worked in favor when we could simply pack up my laptop, my earphones, and log into the work from the back of the hospital room. And this medical trial, run by the foremost of experts in this disease, was in all places that it could be in Salt Lake City, my hometown. And if it were anywhere else, we would have had a very hard time staying with Amalia as much as we had, and everything else happening. It would have been hard, but it wasn't. And why is this? Because of all of you. My mom, my brothers, my sister, my nephews, my niece, my aunts, my uncles, my friends, my home parish at Holy Transfiguration in Boise, Idaho. The local parishes here have upheld us and given us hope. And hope and despair, one of my favorite sayings that has held me through this whole ordeal is, hope and despair cannot exist in the same place. One kills the other. Hope kills despair. And we are in a hopeful place. So thank you again to everyone who took time out of their weekend to support Amalia and to give us hope. Do you want to grab yours too? So you may have heard this story. Amalia, when she was first in the emergency room, she was so agitated that it took me and 3 security guards to hold her down into the bed. She was screaming at the top of her lungs, thrashing around, but in an instant, she calmed down, looked at each of us and said, "Hey guys, what are you doing? Do you want to go get some Trulies, go up to the mountain and watch the sunset?" Trulies, if you don't know, it's like a wine cooler, right? So my answer to that question, my dear Amalia, is yes. I would, and I think all of us want to. So in anticipation of that event happening, I would like to propose a toast to my dear daughter Amalia. Friends, family, please raise your glasses to toast to Amalia.
To Amalia.
To Amalia. May the good Lord heal you, Amalia, according to his great mercy. May he raise you up from his bed of sickness so that you can dance again like you have since you've been at age 3. May he use this sickness to make you stronger than you were before. And may he give all of your family, friends, and especially your dad, patience and strength to await the good things to come. Salud.
Salud. Where did she go? Here's your phone.
I was going to invite my sister-in-law, Steph. This is Amalia's flamenco dancer, or flamenco teacher, sorry. She went, the craziest thing that these guys do, they bought one-way tickets to Spain together. No return tickets. To go out there and basically live. And Amalia, I remember her saying, I'm gonna do everything, Dad. She's typically a very picky eater. She ate caracoles, drank sherry. Caracoles are snails, basically. Ate everything that was put in front of her, did not say no to anything, tried everything. When was that, Steph?
2 years ago.
How many?
About 2 years.
2 years ago. Yeah, so she got to experience that. So please welcome my sister-in-law, Esther.